Peace be upon you. Let's address the question, does any innate phenomena have proven evolutionary causes? Or do atheists and evolutionists have blind faith to fill their knowledge gaps? I.e., when atheists denied the existence of Allah and consequently denied the innate nature instilled by the Creator, they no longer had an explanation for innate religiosity, morality, sense of purpose, free will, and instincts. Apparently immaterial phenomena, so they looked for material explanations that they claimed existed in the Darwinian evolutionary framework. The cause, according to them, is a specific gene, a group of genes, traits related to genes selected by nature, or the innate phenomenon developed somehow due to yet unknown causes, and then got selected by Darwinian natural selection. The question remains, is their claim backed by scientific evidence? As to the last argument, referral to the unknown, atheists do not accept such arguments from theists as an explanation for things. This leaves us with the link between innate phenomena and genes, which we'll examine. The claim that a trait in an organism is related to a specific gene must be validated by specific scientific methods. The first method is gene insertion or gene deletion into a fertilized egg, then monitoring whether this causes the appearance or disappearance of a particular trait. This is possible in animals, such as knockout mice. However, it hasn't been done on humans. Besides, many complex factors interfere with it, such as compensatory mechanisms, which may compensate for the deleted gene. The only possible way for testing in humans is to perform genetic scanning and prove that people with a certain trait have a gene that is missing in others who do not have this trait or tendency, or that they have different gene expression from others. What is known as epigenetics, for example, which has been used to link some physical traits and diseases to genetic causes. We repeat, atheists and Darwinists Darwinize everything, including innate phenomena. There is a long list of books which are based on this, such as The God Gene, Evolutionary Origins of Morality, The Evolutionary Origin of Freedom, The Truth About Cinderella, a Darwinian View of Parental Love, The Evolution of Desire, Strategies of Human Mating, and many others. Now, let's set aside the Darwinist claim of traits which appeared in unknown ways, then got selected, as the term unknown is not verifiable science. We are left with the gene link. Based on the aforementioned scientific methods of linking genes to traits, are any of the claims made by these books backed by scientific evidence? Did they identify the responsible gene for any innate tendency? Shockingly, no. These claims have no scientific basis. It is simply blind Darwinian faith. These books bypass the question of a material cause for innate phenomena, assume that a material cause is a basic axiom and a foregone conclusion, and move beyond to discuss the evolutionary benefits of innate phenomena in unproductive compositions. This baseless Darwinization of everything was criticized even by some Darwinist atheists, including the atheist Darwinist professor of ecology and evolution, Jerry A. Coyne, in his book titled Why Evolution is True. Coyne says, there is an increasing and disturbing tendency of psychologists, biologists, and philosophers to Darwinize every aspect of human behavior, turning its study into a scientific parlor game. But imaginative reconstructions of how things might have evolved are not science, they are stories. Dean Hamer was an exception. Unlike other authors, he discussed a specific gene for religiosity in humans. However, Hamer, as we'll see, is the champion of baseless claims, refuted even by other researchers. His book, The God Gene, is based on one alleged unpublished study, irreproducible by other researchers, as clearly stated by Carl Zimmer. Even some atheists mocked his claims, saying, no God and no God gene either. In fact, those who claim that a specific gene is linked to a certain innate tendency are either shamefully ignorant about genetics, notwithstanding their PhD titles, or they are deceiving their audience. Linking genes with traits is a much more complex process than previously thought, as in this 2008 paper published in Nature, which showed that decoding the genetic code in the Human Genome Project was a disappointment, since we found that even physical traits, such as height, and mental illnesses, such as schizophrenia, which appear to be linked to heredity, cannot be attributed to a gene or even to a specific group of genes, and that the matter was much more complicated than what's taught in schools and universities. Other studies state that a single behavioral trait may be tied to thousands of genes, each with a slight role in producing it. They also acknowledge the inability to identify these alleged genes, even if we concede that there is a link in the first place. The topic is seemingly very complex and ambiguous. Yet, the likes of Hamer refer to the God gene, and Western headlines proclaim this gene might decide if you vote Republican or Democrat. An oversimplification of the topic and treating people like fools. It is not surprising if some young people outside the scientific community fall for such laughable claims. But for anyone with even a minimal scientific training, doctors or students in medical and biological fields, to circulate them is incredible. Before I go on, I would like to say that, in theory, it is possible that Allah Almighty created genes in humans that help in the formation of innate tendencies, as explained in episode 4. If this is true, then it would be further proof of the existence and greatness of the Creator. However, it's very shameful for materialists to base their explanations for innate phenomena on the assumption that such genes exist or on some yet undiscovered evolutionary process as an alternative to a Creator's existence, without any proof and counter what all evidence points to, with unproven claims. It's shameful that atheists deny us our belief in the unseen, Allah's existence, despite all the evidence, while they have no issue with their faith in unknown genes and undiscovered processes without any evidence. It is shameful that atheists claim that our belief in the existence of a Creator is to bridge gaps in our knowledge, i.e., we don't know the cause for some things, so we assume a Creator to explain them, which is not true about the Islamic belief system. While atheists exercise blind Darwinian faith to explain phenomena that their materialism failed to explain, they denied the existence of a Creator, so they needed an alternative, materialism, which denies soul and innate nature, then spun fairy tales around this alternative. They wrote books and gave lectures without any basis, except a great illusion. Is this blind faith? Isn't it the worst example of mind surrender? Is there any worse example of bias and prejudice? These are the accusations they throw at Muslims. Is there anybody more deserving of them than these atheists and Darwinists? They claim a conflict between Islam and reality and between Islam and science, while their claims, including man has no free will but is driven by genes, expose the huge conflict with reality, that man does experience free choice. And their disrespect for science manifests clearly in their baseless claims on genes. All this follows from denying innate proof for the existence of Allah Almighty. This brings us close to the end of our discussion on innate evidence. We do not want to elaborate or get distracted from the topic, but we'll discuss one example of the deception practiced by atheists and Darwinists in the name of science, the claim of a genetic basis for homosexuality. Another example of the result of denying the innate nature of human instincts and attempting to explain them in a purely materialistic manner. This will be discussed in the next episode, Allah willing. Peace be upon you.